Oh, come on, bloody guy.
Why do I feel like it was easy to set things up in the pitch black whilst up a mountain?
Because it was. Oh, I've knocked all settings, man!
Been a washout, this.
Yeah, hasn't it?
Best ones haven't turned up. You just pulled that plug out, that's what it was. Fucking hell.
Go sit back again where I was.
Robin Williams and Jack.
Welcome to today's podcast.
This money penny. Right. Cheers.
Merry Christmas.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
13. Is it a bit late to say that now?
Sorry. Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2. Hotly anticipated. And,
over 200 people, can't be wrong.
Very, very pleased with everyone that's watched so far. I've had some amazing feedback on the first one. And more to the point, I think, and that was the aim of it. We've had people, I've certainly had people genuinely reach out and message me and say, like I had friends from school I've not spoke to for 10, 15, 20 years and say, you know, my husband's really struggled with this and I think what you're doing is a really cool thing. And that's the sort of...
Pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah, it genuinely is. And it might sound a bit soppy, but that is the aim of it. We want to encourage people to talk more about things they struggle with. And the fact that people have come out has been really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say we're healing people, but...
Yeah, I'm not quite the second coming of Christ. Or whoever's you choose to believe in. Or nobody.
Let's not get into that.
If you're
You're
intelligent enough.
Let's crack on. Let's crack on with ADHD.
Yeah. I've gone off topic.
That's it. Yeah.
Weirdly. That'll happen a few times
Actually, are you going to say this or am I going to say that we're supposed to do this podcast before Christmas?
We were, weren't we? I did put a message on...
Tell them why we didn't.
I did put a message out to my following that we were due to film it up in my favourite spot, which was Malham. I say favourite, it's got a bit touristy for me now, but we'll move on. But sadly, because I have the inability to concentrate for a prolonged period, I just set off driving. But I say that, I was really, really keen to catch up with you and Red, so I tore out of the driveway like Dominic Toretto, and then just gunned the car and thought, right...
In the wrong direction.
Yeah, quite far in the wrong direction.
What got me is you've been there before.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, so we didn't do it before Christmas because Liam was supposed to get there at 5:30. He got there at 10 to 8.
Yeah, sorry about that. But we had a good night. A couple of beers.
Yeah, that's all we had time for.
It was, yeah. Right, so getting back to the point, I'll introduce the pod. So episode 2 is going to be about raising kids with ADHD. Quite a well-discussed topic in this day and age. We did touch briefly on it in episode 1. I think we talked about I was going through the discovery phase with Eliza and probably me as well. Or definitely me, as you've reiterated.
Yeah, and this could be raising kids with, comma with ADHD, or raising kids with ADHD.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
We'll focus on the kids a bit more. That's what it's about, isn't it? The children. But obviously I'm riddled as well, as we've pointed out.
I want to get into that because I don't think you are riddled. I made a light-hearted joke about you being riddled with ADHD, and I don't think we should be classifying people as being riddled with something that's not.
Yeah, good point. Who was that comedian we went to see at Liverpool?
Nicky Flanagan.
He said there's only 3 things you can remember. We won't go into that.
Yeah.
ADHD wasn't one of them.
Yeah, crack on.
Anyway, so... As I've said, we're going through the discovery phase with Eliza. She's displayed a lot of signs that we will go into, and we've literally just kind of pushed the button a bit with school, to be honest, because I think from speaking with Ryan, who's a bit further down the journey than I am, he was very vocal in saying they spend so much time in school that's kind of where you've got to start making changes to what goes on so that you kind of encourage and nurture them in the right way. And from not a selfish point of view, but from a personal point of view, sometimes parenting can be difficult, and that's a sweeping statement, and everyone finds it difficult at times, but there's certain challenges that come with ADHD that I just think if you go without help, you're always going to struggle with.
Yeah. if you're not aware, you have this condition.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to think of a better way to describe it as a condition. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so talking about ADHD, I've done a bit of Googling, which is never a safe thing, but part of my journey was I wanted to learn a bit more about it so that I could become more equipped as a dad to deal with it in a better way. So going on the NHS website, which I thought was a good place to start, it says here, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD. ADHD is a condition that affects people's behaviour. People with ADHD can seem restless, may have trouble concentrating, and may act on impulse. Symptoms of ADHD tend to be noticed at an early age and may become more noticeable when a child's circumstances change, such as when they start school. Most cases are diagnosed when children are under 12-year-old, but sometimes it's diagnosed later in childhood. Sometimes ADHD was not recognised when someone was a child, and they are diagnosed later as an adult. There's your definition.
So that's the bit I was talking about when I said about... That's the chair. About getting diagnosed in school. And some people will say, like, just like kids be kids, you don't have to put a label on them, like, just do this, do that. And when they're, like, Eliza's age and Fred's age, they are... I think a lot of kids will show traits of ADHD behaviour because kids are just fucking balmy, aren't they?
Mm.
But I think that earlier on that you can understand how your brain works. And it's not saying you've got this condition, therefore you are different. This is saying, hey, guess what? We're understanding now, when you're only 6 years old, how your brain works, how we get the most out of you, how you can have the best education experience possible, and how when you get to become a teenager, that you've gone through the hoops that we need to go through to make sure you get the support you need in high school.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important during primary education that you start to go through the diagnosis so that they feel supported when they get to high school. They don't need that support as much now. And also, you want people to understand that any sort of neurodivergence that we now label as, or like I said, you're riddled with ADHD, or you've got this, or oh, so sad that kid's got autism. It's like, it's not something you catch.
Yeah.
It's not something you are. It's just literally saying, my brain works like this, your brain works like that, that person's brain works like that. And it's trying to get away from that stigma of, oh, they don't have a normal brain. Well,
Yeah.
they do, they have their brain, which is fully functional. They're incredibly intelligent, beautiful, loving, they're just normal human beings whose brains function in a different way to say what my brain might function, or how do you know what I mean? So by getting that understanding of this is how you can understand yourself from this age going forward, you're not going to come into your teenage years thinking, why am I different? Why don't I feel like my mates feel? Why can't I sit still in class? Why do I get angry when other people don't? Why don't I get that joke? Why do I feel like people are talking about me rather than having a laugh with me?
Does Fred vocalise that?
He started to now because he gets it. He starts to say like it's not my fault. Like before Christmas, I felt awful. I was nearly in tears. I was trying to talk to him, and he was fucking shuffling around, you know, like spinning. And I'm like, it's like trying to talk to a moving target. I was like, hang on a minute, mate. I'm going wait. And I went, Fred. He went, what? I went, stop it. And he just started crying. He went, I can't help it, can I?
Bless him.
And honestly, I started crying. I said, oh mate, I'm so sorry. I gave him a
You
cuddle.
feel awful for that.
Yeah, I did. I'm over it now, though. But do you know what I mean? He gets that.
Yeah.
But if in the past he didn't understand that, and he didn't know that, do you know what? We know that he has to, like, what's called stimming, basically to be hyper-focused. So, like, when kids spin around, or they're jumping up and down on the spot, or they're constantly doing something, like clicking. Yeah, he'll do that, but what I've learned is that's a consistent rhythm, not him humping his bed, but like spinning around and everything else that focuses the brain. It's like you'll see some people crack their knuckles all the time.
Yeah, I do.
So we all display symptoms of it, but that's called stimming, where they can't stay still.
Right.
And it's the only way they can keep focus. But he understands that, and his teachers understand that, so they give him a bit of Lego to fidget with and stuff. He gets a fidget toy that he can take into class, so that he's got something to occupy his fidgety part of his brain, and he can also focus in on that. So I think any diagnosis early on in primary care equips them to get into adult life and teenage life thinking, I completely understand why I'm like this.
Yeah.
I've heard of people who get diagnosed in adult life who have said it's such a liberating thing to say, I get it now. I don't feel like shit. I don't feel like I'm not good enough. Why have I always felt like I'm not good enough? Because there's so many people who portray those traits who actually just their brain just works differently.
Yeah.
And if only someone else could have interacted with them a little bit different and says, do you know what, it's absolutely fine.
Do you know what? You're saying that, it's just made me think of something I've never even thought of until 8 seconds ago. And I remember I had, years and years ago, I worked for a lady called Amanda Butterworth, lovely, lovely lady, really intelligent, really lovely person, and she introduced me to Trello. Have you ever used that?
Yeah.
And because she basically said, like, you know, you're talented at what you do, but what you struggle with is to get on a task, see it through, and box it off. So she introduced this project management tool called Trello, and it was basically a massive checklist. And all the Googling I've done, everyone said, you know, a checklist, reward charts, this, that, and the other. And I always look back, and I've done a fair bit in my working life, but I always look back at that period where I knocked in, 3, 6, 9 months of Trello, and I thought I accomplished so much in that period because I could see there's that task, there's the end goal, there's your new task, there's the end goal. Yeah. And she just didn't let me escape. Like, she was like, have you done your Trello? Oh, fucking hell, I'll go on and do it now. Yeah. And it just became like a tapestry of accomplishment, which I'd never even thought of before. And I always go back to that when I get on something or I get into something, like I'll do a few weeks of it with loads of energy, then I'm like, oh fucking hell, here we go, something else, and I'll move on to something else. But that's one little tool that I thought I definitely noticed made a massive difference to me.
And if someone had said that to you if someone could have identified those traits during primary school,
oh god, yeah.
I'm not going to say hey, you're fucking year 4, I'll set you up a Trello board, but you would then start to think, okay, I've functioned better with lists, with a structure, with what's now, what's next, what's coming up. It makes things a lot easier. Yeah, massively. And like I said, we're just going through that phase of the lives now with their school. I know what mention what school or anything like that, but some people that are around her in school have been really, really, really helpful. Like her actual primary teacher, she's an NQT, newly qualified teacher, and she's full of energy and all over everything, which is brilliant for Eliza. Eliza absolutely idolises her teacher. Yeah. But then there's other people whose specific role is to provide a pathway, guidance for kids that have got kind of special educational needs that have just done barely anything with it. And that's why we're pushing it out of a school, because we think there's way more that should be going on. But like, I asked before, does Fred recognise these things in himself? Because Eliza does, and she knows if she's getting overstimulated now. Yeah. And so does her teacher. Yeah. And I think she's only 23, her teacher. Makes me feel a bit old, that. Headmaster's only 31 at her school. Really? Yeah, 31, head teacher. God, that's the word to Orange when I was 31. Worked at Netto. I didn't really. So... Quack, creme. Best yogurt ever, then. Quark's the big thing at the minute, isn't it? They're all over that flavoured cheese, high protein stuff. Quark? Yeah. All them yogurts you eat that are the Aldi Moody ones and whatnot, they're all Quark, I think. Why do you think I shop at Aldi? Because of your corduroy shirt. I've gone way off topic there. Way off topic. What was the point I was even making? Horrible bastard. You said, talking about Eliza's teacher's 23. Yeah. Headmaster's only 31. So, back in the game. So Eliza will recognise when she's been overstimulated, and her teacher does. And now she's got this process where if she notices Eliza getting a bit flustered, and she does struggle to regulate her emotions, so she's got like a little quiet, comfortable corner for her. Right. And she'll literally say, grab your David Williams book and have 5 minutes on your own in there. And she goes in a little corner out of the way. It's nice, there's a nice comfy little beanbag thing there. Yeah. And she sits and reads 5 minutes. It totally brings the level back down. And then she'll welcome her back into the class, which I think is meant like... Yeah, that's what they do with Fred. When I was a kid, it was just... And I wasn't a naughty kid at school at all. Like, I was quite a good student, to be fair. Like, I always did well with my grades and stuff, and was generally quite, like, engaged and whatnot. But if I did get a bit, I don't know, overstimulated and a bit... It was... I'd get out of the class, go and see the headmaster. Yeah. And I was like, all right. I'm having a laugh. Have a cow, mate. Yeah. Okay, now. I used to spit paper out of like a biro.
Yeah.
Good done.
And if it's
what
when
did you
you
call
did,
them at your school? Call them sweaty betties at ours.
no,
Oh no, the sweaty bet is when you drenched some bog roll in water, just fucking launched it like a grenade.
I don't think we had a name for it. But if it's someone you didn't like, you'd get a big grolly hot.
You fucking chap.
What's his name?
Hull.
Beckenbauer.
No,
Rudy Voller. Kick the back of someone's head in Harry Monk. Cut that bit out.
Yeah, I have done already.
Slimer.
Anyway, where were we? Yeah,
Oh no.
so yeah, no, that's it. So how they're understanding them at an early age,
Yes.
they can help Eliza know what her triggers are,
Yeah.
and she doesn't feel like a naughty kid.
I know.
She
That's
doesn't
the
feel
hardest
she's sent
thing.
out of the class. She feels like people recognise when she's getting overstimulated.
Yeah.
She can go sit down.
Yeah.
The thing is, when they get to high school, that don't happen as much, unless you've got things in place like I forgot what they're called now, like my support plans and ECHQ, some like a certificate.
What we'll probably do at the end of this is just put together 2 or 3 links of
Yeah.
things that we know will be genuinely helpful and fire them out, and if people want to go and look at them.
Yeah, but when they've got those plans, that means that they get a bit of extra time during exams.
Right.
Teachers recognise how their brain works, therefore they get a bit of extra time on certain homeworks or assignments, and if it's getting a bit rowdy in class, teachers will be able to say, I understand.
Yeah.
It's because it's not it's alright at primary school, but imagine being in year 8 and going, go on Liam, do you want to go play with your Lego? You get your fucking head kicked in, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? So by understanding that, how
Well, if it was Technic, but yeah.
Meccano.
Never a big fan of Meccano, mate. I was a Technic Lego boy. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again, sorry.
Yeah, it's alright, I've thrown you. I've thrown myself now. Yeah, so when you're a teenager, again, having that understanding of, I understand how my brain works, my teachers know how my brain works, therefore we're going to manage it this way. You can't do that like you can in primary school, because you get bullied. It's a different thing. They're going through puberty.
I was just going to say that, like, the difference is at like 7, 8 years old, there's not too many hormonal changes, if any, kind of going off. When you get to sort of 12, 13, 14, the whole body's changing, your whole brain, everything's going off. And I think to manage it now, as opposed to in 5 or 6 years' time, is only going to do your kid good.
Yeah, especially for girls. Like,
Yeah.
For lads, it's what is it? Your voice goes and your knackers drop. But for girls, there's almost new things happening all the time.
Periods and other stuff that's
there'll be another
way
podcast
more
about
intensive.
but we can't cover that on here.
Yeah.
She'll talk to her mum about that, or Jen can help her when it comes to.
You'll be there for her when she needs it.
Oh yeah, I will. But I don't know what. I don't know.
I think a woman's going to be more equipped to help out. Don't get me wrong.
I think so.
And she might feel more comfortable talking. But again,
that's another thing in it.
Another pod for another day.
But they're going through, so if you can deal with the change they're going through now, that's another thing they're not going to have to deal with when they come into that age of going through puberty. Because if you start to diagnose ADHD at the time they're going through puberty and everything else, it's just massive overwhelm.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Why
am I so different? Yeah.
Eliza definitely recognises that her brain doesn't work the same way as Margot's, for example. That's the best example I can give, because she's around Margot all the time, and like Margot can be a little shit, and she's got her own little personality, and she's cheeky and funny and everything else. But like, I can say to the girls at 7 o'clock, right, it's bedtime, kids, go and get ready for bed. Margot will go upstairs on her own, get washed, brush her teeth, get her pyjamas on, and then be like, right, Dad, I'm ready for bed. And Eliza, you've got to tell her. You've either got to tell her 5 or 6 or 7 times, or you've got to physically help her do it. And it's like, it took a long time for me to realise that she's not choosing to be defiant here. She's not choosing to just think, I can't be asked to now, I'm not interested.
No.
Or if she is, she's on a level of genius that I've not quite witnessed before, and fair play to her.
Yeah.
Good luck to you if you are.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a quick look. Have a quick scan back to the structure.
Good that we've got a structure this time.
You wouldn't think so the first 15 minutes, but good organic chatter.
Yeah, I'm guessing if we're going to put this on YouTube, we may as well start saying, if you're liking the pod so far, like and subscribe, leave us a comment. If you don't like it, just watch something else.
Fuck off.
Just fuck off. Don't be a dickhead. And I do mean that. But if you do like it, just be over the top nice and share amongst friends.
Yeah, we've had some amazing comments, like I said before. Like loads of my wife's friends have messaged and said how amazing what we're doing is, and it does mean a lot. And we're not doing it for fucking our backs being patted off or an ego ticket. The aim of this is to sort of make life easier.
We're not doing this for cash.
Hey?
We're not doing this for cash.
Not for 200 views, mate. I was trying to work out the other day. I looked at like Mr. Beast and how many millions of views he had and how much you get paid per million views. I think it's $5,000 per million views.
Yeah, it depends what your AdSense is. Yeah.
I think we've worked out earned about 50p off the first one.
Yeah, unless we put the kids into like a Squid Games environment.
That could be a good one.
Squid ADHD games.
We've kind of covered that. So speaking about Christmas then, obviously we just finished Christmas and we'll drag it back up for everybody now. We found, certainly towards the end of Christmas, like the amount of stimulation and new stuff that Eliza had, and once that had dropped off, that's when I would say we noticed a real change in her behaviour. And since she's gone back to school and had that structure again, she's like, we just said this morning, like she's getting ready for football now. She's gone off and she's got a little football match, and we just said like, what a good week you've had this week. And she said, yeah, I've like, she was happy that she'd had a good week. She's not really had any breakdowns or meltdowns or anything. She's kind of gone to bed when she's supposed to, and there's not been any kind of, I'm not going to say bad behaviour, but no tantrums or anything like that, because she's just got that structure. Yeah, exactly. And she recognised that herself, and she even brought up her reward chart today. And she said, like, I've not got many stars on my reward chart, but I think I've had a really good week. And I said, you have had a really good week, darling. And that's probably me not following through the reward chart. And then obviously, the craving for the attention, not the attention, the reward came in there. She's like, so can I have a bit of Minecraft time? And I said, yeah, you can have a bit of Minecraft time. That's her latest little fix, is Minecraft.
Unbelievable. And that should be a podcast on it.
So I was just going to say that. Do you know Tasha's Dan?
Yeah.
He was one of the first 100 people to ever play Minecraft.
Really?
Yeah, he's got a little tattoo of one of them on his, I think it's on his, like, it's either his stomach or his back.
Which one's Steve?
No, it's like a little crab thing, I think. I don't know what they're called. A little crab thing. And we went on at Christmas and I saw it and I said, what, is that a Minecraft tattoo? And he's like, oh yeah, it is. I said, why have you got that? It's a bit nonsense. Which he agreed with. And then he said, yeah, when I go on holiday I have to cover up, because they were in Turkey, I think, last year, and some young kid said to him, oh my God, is that a Minecraft tattoo? And he said, as a man approaching 40, I think...
I was going to say, there's one walking around with a fucking bag of sweets.
Now then. He was one of the first... Apparently, one of the guys developing it, he was, I don't know, fucking pen pal or an internet mate with. And he said, I've got this game in kind of beta mode. Do you want to have a go on it? And it was Minecraft.
I've never played it.
Neither have I. Well, actually, I have. I've played it a little bit with Eliza because she's not quite got figured out the PS5 controller yet, so I'll help her build stuff. I say help her build stuff. She's a fucking architect compared to what I can.
I'm going to say she like PMs it.
She's done like a what's that?
Project management.
Yeah, she's done like a like it's like.
Oh, hang on a minute. Start that again.
She's built this like sculpture that's all like symmetrical with all these different patterns, and it's got like a waterfall into an infinity pool with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you done that? She was, I watched Mikey and someone on YouTube. So I googled that.
It was George Clark's Amazing Spaces.
No, not that.
Hmm.
It's two blokes in America that play Minecraft, and then obviously they have an insane amount of subscribers and viewers, and I worked out they earn about 400k a year from filming their Minecraft.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Freddie on it.
Yeah, that's my
honestly, he plays Minecraft and has watched it at the same time.
Yeah.
But he's unbelievable, some of the things. He did something the other day, he was building, he needed a feather, he needed some arrows for his bow and arrow. And I was like, alright. And he was planting some melons, and I went, what are you doing that for? He said, because I've put some chickens in a pen at the farm, and I'm just growing some melons, so the chickens can eat the melons, and they can have more chickens, and I can use the feathers for my bow and arrow.
Mint, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
It is mint.
Yeah. So, but that's, again, that is... People's, if you are worried about kind of putting labels on kids around having ADHD, autism, those sort of things, you've got to understand that they're not a negative. Well, I think that is one of the reasons why he's hyper focused when he's playing these games, because he's just in it. That he's clearly passionate about that. Yeah. And when he's passionate about something, you cannot get his attention away from it.
Unbreakable focus, isn't it?
And it's incredible intelligence.
Yeah.
So it's not it's not a bad thing.
It's a nice segue that, because I've actually, when I was kind of putting this together, and I've obviously done my research on it. There are a load of positives that come with it as well. And did you know that Michael Jordan has ADHD?
No.
Yeah. When I was doing my Googling, it talked about certain athletes, business people, entrepreneurs, a lot of them that have got that hyper focus, have got the ADHD, and they said Michael Jordan's like a famous athlete with ADHD, which kind of makes sense if you watch The Last Dance, like unbreakable focus on doing what he did.
Yeah.
A bit of an extreme example, obviously, but I wanted to talk about like the positives and the superpowers that you can kind of get out of it, and so to come and touch back on that, celebrating the positives of people with ADHD, hyperfocus is the common one. Resilience, creativity, it makes sense with the Minecraft thing.
Yeah.
And like conversational skills apparently, which I was surprised to hear. But then I've always noticed with Eliza, I'm not going to say struggles with kids her own age, because that's not true at all, but she seems to be more in her element talking to either younger kids from like a nurturing point of view, and again, humanity is quite a common trait with people with ADHD. They seem to have a lot of empathy for people, and again, like, I've gone off topic here, get back to what you were talking about. She seems to be really comfortable talking with little kids and nurturing them and looking after them and things like that.
Yeah.
And people aren't well, like Philippa's mum's really unwell at the minute with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's really shit, but Eliza's so kind to her and so understanding and so careful and nurturing with her. But then at the same time, she can have a full conversation with an adult. Like, she can talk to me about the natural world, dinosaurs and animals, like on a level that I was into animals and dinosaurs and stuff as a kid, but nothing like what she is. Like, she'll quote things from a book verbatim that she's read and tell me about different this, that and the other. She talks about symbiosis in different animals. I'm like, fucking hell, you're 8-year-old.
No, wait, he's the same. It's finding a passion in it.
Yeah.
I suppose that's another thing, like that. If they can find something they're passionate about.
I was just going to say, like,
cash in.
Yeah. Bunsen burner.
That's it, yeah.
Nice little earner.
Yeah. Freddie, can you start looking at stock market for me, please, mate?
Yeah.
Identify a few trends.
Yeah. Here's a really shit graph with a lot of stuff going off. See if you can find that interesting.
There you go, yeah.
Fuck off, Dad. Goes Minecraft, you boring.
No. We're not seeing C-bomb in this.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I beat that out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing that, like, again, just thinking about practical advice and stuff, if you suspect your kid is neurodivergent, like, give them, within reason, all the opportunity you can, and they'll find something they're bang into and just let them go for it. Like, reading, I think, is probably Eliza's biggest passion. Like, we'll buy her a David Walliams book. That's her favourite author. Other authors are available. But we'll get her 300-400 page books, and she'll get it on, I don't know, let's say she got one for Christmas, The Blunders, I think it's called. And she opened it on Thursday, whatever day it would have been, started reading it, and then, like, I'd say to Philippa, where's Eliza? I think she's in her room reading. So I'd walk upstairs. She's sat in her room with a little blanket on with a book. And I'm like, she's happy in her own little world, leave her to it. And then by Sunday, she'd finished the book completely. And I'm like, I've got a book that a mate bought me called The Daily Stoic, which is about kind of...
A colouring book.
Balancing your... Balancing your... regulating the way you think about stuff and putting things into perspective and that.
Yeah.
And I've had that since... probably July last year. You're meant to read 1 page a day, and I've not managed to do that.
But then it's not your thing, is it?
No, not my thing.
But to be honest with you, a book like The Daily Stoic, I need to get that book, actually. I've heard good things about it. It's not... it's meant for, I suppose, the type of reader that you are. And I'm probably similar, to be honest. I pick up a book and I can't get into it that much.
I can do audio books.
But I get it, but at least focus.
If I'm driving where I've got no choice but to sit and listen for 2 hours, I'll bang an audiobook or a podcast on, and I'll sit and listen to that. But to pick up a physical book, I just...
Yeah. I'm visual. If I watch something on telly, I'll remember everything. Well, I'm saying with names are. Like, names of characters and stuff.
Simpsons.
Like, exactly.
What's the criminal called?
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. I forgot his name now. Snake something, isn't it?
Yeah. You don't remember his full name? It's not worked out very well, has it?
No.
Speaking of, we didn't start with the dad joke.
We'll finish with it.
Okay.
But yeah, the reading. The Daily Stoic is what I was going to say. That's designed for people you can just pick it up and read it.
Yeah.
It's not a story, is it?
It's one little practice for a day.
So when you're having a bad
long.
day, pick it up and read it. You don't have to read it every day.
Yeah, and in fairness, that's what I'll do. Like if I've had a shit day, I'll like, let's just read a page of this, bring yourself back to ground. Offer encouraging messages.
What is his name? Do you know it?
I can think of Snake Plissken, but that's from Escape to LA, played by
Snake, The Simpsons.
Kurt Russell.
Snake Jailbird. I knew it. Ask me again. We'll cut that bit.
The Doctor. What's the Doctor called from The Simpsons?
Dr. Hibbert. Julius Hibbert.
Julius,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Good laugh on him.
Yeah.
Right, give me a minute to break and we'll, list resources.
Go on that again. I think it's just that encouraging messages for parents is, I really want to get across this. It's not a label.
Yeah.
I've seen people say like, oh, fucking.
And I've probably done that myself. Like I've before I had kids, probably I've had friends that have kids have seemed a little bit, let's say, away from the norm, if you like, and they'll talk about, we think they've got ADHD. I'm like, oh yeah, fucking hell, that just means they're badly behaved, but absolutely not the case.
It's. I remember when we're first going through Fred's diagnosis, like he was doing things that had autism traits, and I remember his mum ringing saying, we think we need to speak to school, like I think Fred's showing autistic traits. And at the time, it's only a year and a half ago, I was almost offended. I was like, my kid's not autistic. He's not got autism, because I had a vision of what autism was in my head, and I was so in denial, like Fred's not autistic, he's not this, he's not that, until I started reading up about it and think, you know what, to be honest with you, I think we're all autistic. I've definitely got traits of my sensitivity of hearing is ridiculous. I could hear an ant fart about 100 yards away, and then you
worrying with your ass.
yeah, running for the ant. But certain things, if I can hear a dog barking 100 in the distance, you could have a conversation with me, and I'd be thinking, that fucking dog, it feels like it's barking right here in my head.
Right.
And it's the same when people are eating.
Yeah. Remember Steve?
Oh God. But that's different. That was obnoxious chomping.
I'm just gonna give the people that listen there a little bit of context there, because this is one of my favourite things about you and one of my favourite memories of uni. We had a little student house in Headingley 20 years ago, and one of our housemates called Steve, I don't think he'd be watching this, so we're happy to slag him off. He had the worst eating practice of any human. Like, he would have made cave people look like they had table manners. And he used to get these Chineses, and he'd sit on his little couch, with this horrible shit student couch. He'd sit there and he'd order a Chinese takeaway, and it'd always be sweet and sour chicken with chips. And rice.
Yeah.
Who has double carb?
Steve?
Yeah. And he'd sit there and he'd rest it on his belly, and we'd have, like, one of us would be playing on the N64 or something. Just a fucking old playing Mario Kart. What a game, by the way.
I want a louder one.
Why not?
I got banned from using it.
Why?
Because I was shit.
Bowser.
Yeah, I used to sit there watching fucking cartoon football and stuff. I was like, what's this about? Anyway, carry on about Steve.
And he'd sit there with this taker on his belly, and he'd eat, but he'd go like...
When I'm editing this...
And then Ryan, I remember one weekend he came over, Friday night I think it was like 7:45, and Ryan just got up and went to bed. He was that angry, he went to bed at 7:45.
I remember saying to him, is that nice, Steve? He went, yeah, when it fucking sounds it. But that's different, like, so that, I just think, if you do chomp your food like that, I'm sorry, but you're a bit of a bastard.
But it's also bad manners, but
it's like, if I can hear, and it's bad because I know I will make noise when I chew, everyone does, but like, when you eat, you've got good manners in terms of you don't chew with your mouth open, but your mouth sounds like a washing machine. I can hear everything bouncing off your mouth. And Jen, bless her favourite food in the world is cheesy chips. So she gets cheesy chips, she wants to sit down and watch a film.
Spot the bird from the north.
And I'll be sat like next. I'll be sat next to her like this, like trying not to say like I'm covering my ears. And
I bet you don't do it subtly at all, though. You'll do it dead obviously.
No, I do try and do it now because I think she just wants to eat her chips, and I'm like this.
Poor girl
And I'm like, I'm going to go sit in the kitchen.
Really?
Just so you can enjoy your chips and you don't feel like I'm judging you.
Just so that you don't make a big thing about it, I'm going to get up and leave the room.
Yeah. I'm going to go sit in the rain.
Does she have my gravy? Answer my question.
No, she has my garlic dip. They're mad about it up there.
Yeah.
But so back to the spectrum. That is not. I know people don't like noisy eaters, but if there's a noise in the distance or it's a repetitive sound, it throws my entire day off.
There's a name for that. There's a name for like a phobia of, not a phobia, but what's it called? I'm gonna have to Google
it begins with an M, I think.
Yeah.
But that. So in terms of being on the spectrum, I think we're all on it. We've all got little idiosyncrasies that makes us different, and it's all part of us. It's all on a spectrum, and I think with the world we're living in now, with screens, the fact, what's it called?
Is it
misophonia or something? There you are, misophoria. Get that off.
Picture.
Yeah. With screens and the amount of stuff we can do, like then you can Google that. I can look on my phone. We've got laptops on now. Our brains aren't going to be normal as they were in the 70s because there's too much going on.
Yeah.
We're not evolved to fucking deal with this much stimulation. So,
and do you know what?
It's just normal.
Do you know what? And a mate of mine, when I said I was going to do this podcast, has anybody got anything they want to throw in? I did actually get a couple of responses on TikTok and on Instagram. So a lady on TikTok asked for some practical advice, and she, in fact, give me one fucking minute to get it up.
That's what she said.
So I basically asked on TikTok for parents to share their advice on practical steps at things that can certainly help people. And again, there's never a one-size-fits-all thing here, but nothing better to do than to ask people for their actual advice and their own experiences. So one lady's put on TikTok, embrace repetition. It's easy for a neurotypical child to go and put their shoes on the first time they're asked, but a child with ADHD will need to be asked about 4 times before the message even gets through, and then reminded a few more to account for distractions. And another one, and I love this one as well, pick your battles. Some things really aren't worth them having a meltdown for. If my child doesn't want to eat breakfast, that's fine, I'll send him to school with an extra snack. I think that's a really cool little bit of practical advice. And we've just started saying to each other, me and Philip, and like, pick your battles, like, it's not an issue, like, it's our problem, not hers. And there was another one on Instagram, just talking then about there being too much stimulation and getting back to a more simple life. An old mate of mine, Ash, who I've known for 37 years. I won't read the full message because he does go on a bit. But he's basically, he was...
Exact summary next time.
Yeah, he was looking after a child with ADHD. I'll probably dilute his description of him, but talked about, quite erratic behaviour, very little attention span. And he said I had 2 days with him, but I took away the comfort of what he was around, such as his iPad and things like that. And... actually done with him here. He talks about what he did with him.
I killed him, has he?
He basically talked about how he changed what the kid was doing and took away all the normal distractions, and they basically ended up going into the garage and building a bird box which he took to school, stood in front of the whole school telling the children where he went and what he did, how he made it, and it was made for the school. Previous week he was taken out of the assembly for bad behaviour. He's just put, so not everyone in life is academic, you've got to, what we went back to before about finding something that you're passionate about, like that's what we said, let your kid try different things. Like I'm obviously from a sporty background, and I've tried to give Eliza loads of different sports, and I don't think, if I'm honest, that's her thing. I think she enjoys the social part, but I think it's going to be something creative, whether it's reading or writing or something to do with art. I think she's really into that. And we're just talking about giving your kids these different experiences. They're going to find something they're bang into, and that's going to be their passion then. And that's when that's when it transitions from a hindrance to a massive superpower. It's like, all this shit I'm not interested in, I'm going to keep being bored and bad behaved or whatever you want to call it. Find me something I'm bang into, and I'll put my all into it.
And we've got to accept that and embrace that when that happens, because the fact is, kids are going to be bang into, I want to start a YouTube channel. And whereas thinking, stop fucking about, get a trade,
go be an electrician.
Like if they're into something and they've got this superpower behind them, just embrace it and let them do it. And if it doesn't work out, they'll figure that out themselves. I think we're too quick to tell them the world is the world tells you you've got to be like this, and
Yeah.
the world tells you you've got to do these jobs to be successful. When, to be honest with you, probably look at the most successful people in the world, they all told that school to get fucked. I'm going to do it my way because I've got a vision of how to do this, and no one else has thought about it. So, yeah, just embrace it. It's not a bad thing. How can it be bad to understand how your brain works? It can only be a good thing.
Should we do a little summary?
I think so. I'm doing well here.
So, to summarise kind of what we've gone through, I think the main takeaway points for me are: don't look at it as a hindrance. Don't feel like your child's choosing to be naughty. Don't feel like you failed as a parent or anything daft like that. I think it's about embracing it, talking about it with your kid. It's definitely getting school involved as well. I think is a major step
As
forward.
early as you can.
Yeah. And then just finding your kid's passion, going all in on that. Do you have my stomach then? Fucking starving.
Me too.
Gets wrapped up on some eggs. Go all in on that. What else? I think the other thing is I'm lucky in that I've got you to talk to about this. One of my closest mates who's gone through the exact same thing with his kid who's a very similar age. But I think I'd be surprised if there's many listeners out there, or people out there, sorry, that haven't got someone in a very, very similar situation. And for me as a dad, it's massively helpful for me, because I've talked to you loads about this, way before we even talked about having a podcast or anything like that. Like, we've probably been about 18 months since we started thinking ADHD and thinking neurodivergence and stuff, and I think it's become quite a commonplace thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important as well, because the more comfortable I am with it and talking about it, I think the more comfortable my relationship with Eliza and her difference or her neurodivergence is becoming, because we do talk about it quite openly now. She's had this saying since she was probably 3, where she's like, I've got a storm in my brain. And I never forget, I was putting her to bed one night and she was, again, having a bit of a meltdown. She was probably 3 or 4 year old and was kicking off, and I just said to her, what's up, darling? She just said, I feel like I've got a storm in my brain. And I was like, what a prophetic thing for a 4-year-old to say.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. You say pathetic or profound?
Prophetic.
Do you mean profound?
Prophetic.
Is that a word?
Prophesize, yeah.
All right.
Prophetic.
Don't Google it. I believe you.
Well, no, I want it to prove you right.
All right. Prove yourself right, you mean? Prophetic.
Prophetic.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Accurate predicting what will happen in the future. You'll
Prophecy.
use it in the wrong context.
Have I?
Yeah. But yeah, it is a profound thing. But now the world understands that she's got a storm in her brain.
Yeah.
She's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Probably not a bigger storm as it was before.
Yeah.
Because when you're keeping it to yourself, girls mask it a lot more.
That's one thing I've not covered that I wanted to talk about, is masking, and how girls do that quite regularly. Because I think that's part of the reason it's taken quite a while for the school to kind of latch onto it, is the fact that she is intelligent at school. Like, she's in the top reading group, she's in the top maths group and everything else. So, but like you said before, it's not an educational thing at all. Like, it's nothing to do with intelligence or anything like that. It's more so how she's going about her day. And because, I don't want to say because, this is me making an assumption, but I think if you've got a pupil that's ticking all the boxes and doing all the right stuff and hitting all the milestones, it's almost like they're fine.
Yeah.
But how much better could she be doing if she had a better support system in place? But she does mask it really well. So we were really surprised, like, when I think we had a parents' evening maybe 9 months ago, and they talked about her behaviour in school being a little bit off, and we were like, well, that doesn't sound like Eliza, that's not really what we're seeing. And then it just became more apparent, and it was coming home more.
Yeah.
But they do masking in school a lot, and apparently masking is quite a lot more common in girls, which I think is why the diagnosis in girls is a lot lower.
They get passed off as daydreamers.
Yeah.
Whereas lads are, well, they may as well wear a badge.
Yeah.
Because it's just typical what we believe. But it's not a bad thing, and people have got to get away from this. There is a bit of hashtag ADHD at the minute. Everyone's fucking got it. Everyone's mental health is all sick, and we get to a point of not diminishing it, but it's not a trend. Like, it's I do like the word neurodivergent. That it's just understanding how our brains work.
Yeah.
And the earlier on in life you can understand how your brain works, can only set you up for a better future. Because if you carry this all your life, you mentioned in the last podcast, there's more genetic chance of you passing on ADHD than there is eye colour or hair colour. If you don't understand your brain and you pass it on to your kid and you think, chip off the old block, they don't understand their brain, it's just going to get passed down and diluted and diluted and diluted. And actually, if you think, I completely understand these traits now, Freddie's mum's just been diagnosed with ADHD.
Right.
So she's answered a lot of questions from her childhood of why she felt the way she did. But now she can recognise that in Fred early on and go, do you know what, it's totally fine. You're not different. So it's just talk about it. Make sure you get school involved early. They get a bad rap, schools, because they're not doing fuck all about it, but a lot of them are on their arse funding wise. They've got kids who are
fuck the Tories.
They've got kids who are what you would call typical special needs children who get funding for that. And kids like Eliza, kids like Thea's going through this, but we won't cover it now. And Fred's doing well at school. They tick the boxes from what they need from an education point of view.
Yeah.
And they've got to pick their battles. So you've really got to fight for, just get the support. Don't fight for a diagnosis. Just fight for a support plan for your child to say, I just want to make sure they're best equipped in life to go forward into high school to be as successful as they can.
Which is what everyone wants as a parent, isn't it?
Don't worry about a fucking a title of ADHD. Just say, I need you to understand that my child's brain works like this. How do we best support them for education? And you'll be laughing.
The label almost becomes relevant then. If the support there is in place, that's what's important, isn't it? Because that's what's going to give your kid the best future, the best chance.
Don't change them.
And hopefully turn them into a YouTube millionaire.
Well, yeah. Every cloud.
Anything else?
Dad joke?
Yeah. I've just started a new book recently.
Oh, yeah.
It's about anti-gravity. I can't put it down.
Hey.
I googled a few, to be fair. That was the best one.
Yeah. That was the best one.
Yeah. The safest one. I want to get to the point where I can put a few really Ricky Gervais-esque jokes in here, but I think we're not quite at that level yet.
No.
Probably never will be.
Should we finish there?
It'd be hard to cancel him than cancel us. Yeah. Thanks very much, mate. Pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Should we put the feelers out on what we should do the next one on?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Drop him a message on Instagram or TikTok. I'm not on TikTok because I'm fucking 40. But drop him a message.
I am on TikTok because I'm 38.
And let him know what we can discuss in the next one. Saved by the bell. Time to turn the cameras off.
Just thinking if there's anything else I was going to throw in. Yeah, Ryan mentioned earlier on,
I need to change the cameras if you've got a few more minutes to go.
No, it's only a quick one. Ryan mentioned earlier on about I don't want to sound like that fucking toss that says share, subscribe and stuff, but it would mean a lot if we did get a few more subscribers because it just boosts the engagement and it boosts people talking about things and sharing their own stories, sharing their own paths, and the more we can do that, the more help it's going to provide for more people. So I know it sounds very fucking click the box to subscribe. I hate it when Toss asks me to, I just want to watch your video, fuck off. But if you're watching this video, you probably give a shit about your life as a dad.
Yeah.
It would mean a lot if you did subscribe.
Exactly. If you don't want to subscribe to this, subscribe to my camping channel. Right.
Got way more followers.
That's it, yeah. Nice one.
Cheers, Gort. Cheers, Gort.
We'll finish there.
Yeah, fuck me.